So what we're basically doing is a mantra meditation, which just means that we're meditating on a specific phrase or a specific concept. And the ones we're focusing on are safety, resilience, and you could call it humor or lightness, which is what Alan Gordon usually calls it. And these are three concepts that generally support primary pain recovery because they have a tendency to oppose the pain fear cycle. So I'm just going to go over what each of these concepts means in this context, and then I'll have everybody write three phrases that they can use as a mantra in a meditative form. So the first one is safety, and the reason that that is so important is because, our pain system exists to protect us from danger, the opposite of safety. So when we have something like primary pain where there's just a general sense of danger in the body, what we want to do to counteract it is develop a sense of safety. And so when we come up with something that authentically makes us feel safe, like a mantra, it's something that we can use as a tool to sort of negotiate with the anxiety or the fear that we feel when we have pain. And I always like to make the distinction between not liking something or even hating something and being afraid of it. Because when it comes to pain, sometimes people feel like it's not fair to ask them to develop a sense of safety around it, because it's so awful, it's unpleasant. But there is a difference between hating something and feeling like it's not fair and thinking that it's an active threat to you. So what we're kind of trying to dismantle and replace with a sense of safety is the idea that the pain is a threat. The second concept is resilience. And what that's about is how do we respond to stress? Because our system is designed to respond to stress in a couple of different ways. We have our sympathetic nervous system activated by both negative and positive stress. And by positive stress, I mean things like excitement, or the opportunity for growth. So although we want to be careful with it and not, convince ourselves that something we dislike that's stressful is great and happy and bubbly, right? We do have some influence over whether we code a stressful experience as a threat or as an opportunity for growth and for grit. So when we come up with a mantra, what we want to do is use something that will help us feel a sense of empowerment without feeling like we're veering into the territory of, say, like toxic positivity. So something like, I'm more than my fear, I think would be a good mantra that sort of feeds into the sense of resilience and self-empowerment without being, this is all fine, this is all great. And then lightness is the last concept. And again, it's a way to sort of authentically embody the feeling of safety, because when we have something like humor, for example, the example I always give is the Boggart in Harry Potter, where it's this embodiment of fear and danger and darkness. And the way that they counteract that is with lightness and humor. And so when they're, able to come up with a way to make this light or funny, it takes all of the power out of it. And it demonstrates the way that lightness and humor are more powerful than fear. And so when we combine all of these things, we're able to give ourselves a really strong sense of safety in the exact way that speaks to primary pain and, the lack of necessity of it. So what I'd like you guys to do is just come up with three phrases. So the first one is going to be related to safety. What's something like my body is safe, or my body is, like a healing machine? Whatever counteracts the fear that you have in a way that actually reaches you. The second one we're going to come up with is about resilience, grit, and growth. So my body is resilient is a good phrase. It's just simple, and if it makes sense to you, it's a good way to remind yourself of that. And the last one is a little more creative, because we have our own visuals that correspond with our pain, and we have to figure out, just like with a Bogart, right, the thing that makes it light or makes it curious. So Alan Gordon always used to talk about Toto and Dorothy and her friends and the Wizard of Oz, right, and how when they see, they walk into the wizard's castle or whatever. And they're very scared and they're on high alert, right? Like many of us are. But Toto's just a dog and he doesn't really understand the threat. So instead of looking around and looking up and seeing this projection that's very frightening, he just kind of sniffs around the curtain and he realizes that it's just a guy. And that's kind of the way that we want to treat fear, is how can we be a little bit more like Toto, or how can we bring in something that is less urgent or less fearful? So for example, like if you think of a band that you don't like and you compare it to the sensation of pain in your body, like it's something that you dislike. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to feel it. But it's a little bit light. It's a little bit funny to you because it's not an active threat. So let's take a few minutes and just write down one mantra for each of those things. We're going to write 3 phrases. One is relating to what makes you feel safe. So my body is safe, or my body heals, or there's nothing wrong with me. 2 is about resilience. So I'm strong, I'm brave, my body is resilient. And 3 is how can I bring some humor to my pain? So like, it's just a goofy sensation throwing a tantrum or something like that makes it a little bit less urgent. What I'd like to do now is do a little bit of meditation on those phrases. So we'll begin with the safety one. And I just want you to get into a comfortable position. We're going to do a few 4-7-8 breaths. So that's just breaths to calm the nervous system. So close your eyes, get your posture nice and straight and soft, and then we're going to take an inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Ready? Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I want you to remember your safety mantra, the one that makes you feel safer in your body. And you can close your eyes, and however you think, if it's a visual for you, if you think in words, just hold it in your mind for a little while. And imagine that you have this thing in your hand. It's like it's always there in case you need to use it, like a flashlight in the dark. And I just want you to quietly focus on that phrase. And if your mind gets drawn away from it, that's not a problem. Just draw it back to the phrase and look at it, maybe a little curiously, and stay there with it for a moment. If you're in a moment where you feel pain, just think of it in a way that is, like I said, as a flashlight is to the dark, this phrase is doing the opposite to your nervous system that fear and urgency bring you. And if you are in a state of safety and calm, I just want you to remember that so that when you use this mantra in the future, it comes along with that feeling of calm and of safety. Take another deep breath and just gently move on to your phrase of resiliency. It doesn't have to be perfect, but think about that thing that you thought of that made you feel strong. And I want you to sit there with that, just like you did with the safety. Maybe they're sitting next to each other. So now you have 2 flashlights and you're able to sort of give yourself that sense of strength alongside the sense of safety. Just take another deep breath if necessary. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. And then I just want you to think of your light or humorous image. And it can be anything. It can be, your pain is your toddler throwing a tantrum. It's, your teenage son playing drums in the garage. It's something that has no power over you. And if these mantras are helpful for you, just know that you can always come up with a new one, because that feeling of safety, of resilience, and of lightness and curiosity and humor is something that's within your capability, and it can take many different forms, different words, different visualizations. But it's always there in your toolbox, and now that you've had a chance to practice it, you can remember that it's at your disposal whenever you need it. All right, everyone take a deep breath again. All right. I hope you enjoyed the meditation, that it was helpful for you. So thanks everyone for watching.